everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Books and Boas with Anne Panning. I want to talk about book recommendations today. And I just read about 5 really good books this past month. So I would like to share some of them with you. And the first one I actually don't have in hand because I got it from the library, the beautiful, wonderful public library. And this novel is called A Lie Someone Told You About Yourself by Peter Ho Davies. And in the book, it is a novel. It concerns a couple's first pregnancy, very complicated when they receive devastating genetic test results. And they struggle to figure out what to do. And the book sort of follows them through their marriage and this horrible decision they have to make, and the pressure and the pain that puts on their relationship, but also the possibility of building a family together. So if it sounds really awfully sad, I mean, most literature is, it's very heartfelt and funny and tender, I would call it. So don't let that scare you off. So quickly, 2 reasons why I loved this book. One is the way it hovers between fact and fiction. So it kind of plays with the idea of a story being told to you as you're actually reading the story. I'll give you a quote to show you what I'm talking about. And in this scene, the couple is out to dinner celebrating something. The occasion this time is his book. It's finished, coming out soon. She orders a nice bottle. People are going to assume it's all true, she said, that I actually had a drinking problem. They'll think worse of me, he says. Maybe, she tops them up, but you deserve it. See, so it's almost like this little tease, like, are you seriously talking about your writing of this book? It's fun, but it is fiction, it's a novel. The second reason why I loved it is, remember that movie Up, and that beautiful montage of scenes between the old man and his wife that they had lived throughout their whole lifetime, doing trips together and things like that. And it never fails to make me cry. Peter Ho Davies does something similar, but in words, obviously. And here's just a really brief quote of kind of how he does it in one way. And the couple is sorting through photos later in their life. They finally sort through all the photos, and in the background, always the same wan extras. Her hair still long, that dress, those glasses, cargo shorts, so young they look ancient. And he does a lot more in depth than that, but I didn't want to give too much away from the plot. Briefly, last thing on that book, author tidbit, Peter Ho Davies, is from him. He once told students his goal in writing, I am trying to break your heart, which I think is such a beautiful sentiment. And he does. Excellent, excellent book. It's a little book too. It's like, I don't know, it's about 200 pages maybe. Okay, so moving along. The next book I want to recommend is also a novel, and it's called We Run the Tides by Vandana Vida. And this book is set in pre-tech San Francisco, California area. And it centers around a group of girls who go to a private all-girls school in San Francisco. And they experience a horrible act. And then they go through the disappearance of one of their friends. And it's such a great book. And one of the things I love about it, just 2 little bits, it has a we collective point of view. So it starts as we did this, we do that. Really cool, interesting feature that kind of pulls you in. It doesn't do that throughout the whole book. And then it also ends with we. I thought that was a really cool technique. Also an envelope technique. You start with it and then you end it like an envelope around something. The other thing I love, which I love so much in good books, is rich atmospheric setting. You really get to know this place in 80s, sort of 80s San Francisco area. But you learn the streets of San Francisco, the beaches. A lot of where this stuff happens is very specific to beaches and sea cliffs. And it's just teeming with San Francisco detail. I just absolutely love this one. Okay. The next one I want to recommend is actually a memoir. And this one is called Model Citizen by Joshua Moore. And this memoir is about a guy, he's a 34-year-old father and husband, and he is struggling with his sobriety. He's sober. But when he starts to feel, he's feeling like he's really got a hold of his addiction and his sobriety, he suffers a series of strokes in his early-ish 30s. And that necessitates surgeries and medical stuff and medication, like painkillers. And so the question in the memoir is, how is this going to affect his sobriety with all of this exposure to drugs and stuff again? So the thing I really loved about this book is when you write a memoir, I think you have to be brutally, relentlessly honest in your portrayal of yourself, no matter how bad it might make you look. And I just want to read you a brief quote about this, how that he demonstrates this. Everyone said that our baby would be the best reason to stay sober, but the baby also seemed the best reason to relapse. I felt trapped, overtired. All these things brought out the worst in my nature. They made me petulant, made me want to get whiskey and bask in beautiful failure. I wanted a lurid, loud affair with a baggie, a bottle, a syringe. I wanted to check into the most squalid motel I could find and drink so much that I threw up, and then drink some more, and then do every drug, then drink some more, and then let the next wave of alcohol poisoning spray out of me like a reverse baptism. Okay, obviously no sugarcoating there. And again, like I said, if you're honest with your readers about, yeah, look at me, look what I was like, we'll sympathize and empathize with some hard decisions that perhaps he has to make, or mistakes, or what have you. So that was a really powerful memoir. Lastly, this one I don't think will take much time at all to try to want you to get to read it, okay? This book is called The Plot. It's by Jean Hanff Korelitz, and you might have seen it. It's all over the media. It's getting reviewed everywhere. It's a big deal book. So this is a novel, and this book concerns a washed-up creative writing professor and author. He had one big book, and then it just kind of all petered out from there. He's teaching at this like summer residency writing thing, and one of his really arrogant students says, "Hey, I have a foolproof, guaranteed like bestseller idea for this novel, and I can't share too much, but I'll tell you a little bit because it's amazing. It's foolproof." And the writing professor is like, "Oh yeah, okay, right." Thinks the guy's really cocky. Fast forward, years later, the guy's still a washed-up writer, and he can't find anything that the student has ever written, can't find any real trace of him or whatever. So guess what? He steals the plot idea that student had. And it's amazing. He's famous. It's wonderful. It's being turned into a movie. He's rich. Everything you could ever want as like fame for a novel. Except, what about these cryptic, accusatory emails he starts getting? Dun, dun, dun. The plot. Get it, read it. It's great.